A really warm welcome to the District Assembly, where we share some thoughts for next year, where we're going, and how we might even get to some of these places. I had hoped John Johnson would have been on because he was going to do the Zoom etiquette. We will keep everybody muted. You can unmute yourself. I recommend you use the chat facility, and our very able co-hosts Brian and Heather will keep an eye on that for any questions that come up. Feel free to use it. We've currently got over 70 people on this, so we can't see people waving a hand. So use that, use reactions, raise hand, and that will let us see if someone wants to ask a question. But use the chat, we can make that work. If you are on your own, could you drop a private message just to Brian saying you're on your own, just in case something goes wrong, and a contact number, so we can just check on people. Otherwise, I think we're good to go. I'm going to start this. I do have a few things to share, but first of all, I wanted to share President-elect Jennifer Jones' theme for the year, and that just saves bouncing in and out of slides or whatever. So allow me to share that first, and if I can just get this right, I'll share sound.
And please understand, when I use the term members, it means Rotary and Rotaract. We are all Rotary members. We have been entrusted with leadership in our great organization. Now it's up to us to be brave and intentional in our actions and to let others help us lead. President Shaker launched our Empowering Girls initiative last year, and it has resonated around the world. We will continue this bold effort, recognizing that empowered girls become empowered women. We have less than a year and a half to achieve the board set target of 30% women in Rotary. We've come a long way, and already more than 110 countries have achieved this goal. That said, we have a long way to go, and 30% is the next stop on the way to 50. And you know, our members in Rotaract have already achieved this distinction. Speaking of embracing the different and unique, new clubs, and especially new club models, are vital to growing Rotary. I need your help. I need your help with this. And I'm asking each of you to help form at least 2 new innovative or cause-based clubs during your term as governor. And then, and perhaps most importantly, instill in them and your existing clubs too, our comfort and care philosophy. Let's make sure we engage our members so they love their clubs and their Rotary experience. 50 years ago, an anthem was recorded that included this beautiful line. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hear that lyric as a call to action. We all have dreams, but acting on them is a choice. And when organizations like ours dream big things like ending polio and creating peace, it becomes our responsibility to make these dreams a reality. Imagine a world that deserves our best, where we get up each day knowing that we can make a difference. You don't imagine yesterday, you imagine tomorrow. Imagine a world without polio. Imagine a world with clean water for everyone. Imagine a world free of disease, a world where every child learns to read. Imagine kindness and hope and love and peace. And that's, my dear friends, why our theme is Imagine Rotary.
So I'll stop sharing that. Imagine Rotary. Imagine what could be possible. People say I'm a dreamer, and I just dream of what could be possible and how we can get there. I'm the eternal optimist. But let's see and expand that for our district and what that could mean. I'm going to share, and I'm going to go on for about 20 minutes or so and no more, I promise. So district assembly, where I've put there, celebrate the past and build the future. Jennifer talked about the need for new clubs and new members and younger, but we also need to celebrate the past and recognize what's happened in the past as we build for the future and build what's possible as we imagine what we can do. So welcome everybody, and here's some thoughts. Getting creative as we imagine. Creativity is intelligence having fun. And we should always have fun in what we do. I love some of the Albert Einstein thoughts. So let's get creative in what we can do in District 1010 in Scotland North. So what are we going to look at today? I'm going to spend just about to the half hour and take some questions. And Jennifer talked about Rotaract and what's possible with Rotaract as well. So I've asked a past Rotaractor to talk about that for us, and Ola will help us with that. Brian, DGN Brian's going to give his thoughts on imagining what Rotary should be like or could be like perhaps. And we'll create space for some questions just before a break. We'll take a 10-minute break. And then I have a video clip from Dr. Tererai Trent, who dreamt of moving what I call a traditional African life of potentially 10 kids, no education, into an educational inspiration. And then hearing from one of our own Rotarians on some dreaming, social dreaming, imagining what's possible for the future. And we'll create space for some questions and answers around the whole thing, and then just hear about the district conference. So pretty full agenda. Let's see how we get on with it. So we talked about, Jennifer talked about Imagine Rotary. We can all be Imagineers. And one of the things that she particularly wants us to look at is some of the key messages, increasing members. And I want to come back onto that, on the district priorities, about ending polio. And the expertise that was used in polio is being used in tackling COVID and some of the larger projects. There's a lot more than that, but I thought best just to focus on some items that perhaps we could work with. And the Rotary International Plan has four high-level elements, from increasing our impact, expanding our reach, enhancing participant engagement, that's you and me, and increasing our ability to adapt. That all sounds very good, but what does it mean? So if we looked at increasing our impact about, let's eradicate polio and leverage the good publicity that we get and the expertise that's been developed from that into other channels. We've talked of COVID. Could it be used for malaria elimination? What about focusing our programs, things we do, And I often wonder when we talk about the clubs and the superb work we do, and I think of Africa or Nepal, could we do even more if we all work together on that? And I know a lot of clubs do work together, but if we can improve our ability to measure that impact and define what's difference we have made in the world. And the difference is pretty easy in polio when we've gone from 300,000 cases a year. And I just heard yesterday that there's been one case in the last 15 months, and it was in the last few days in Pakistan. Supporting our clubs to better engage their members. And district is solely here to support clubs and support the members. So what can we do to help that? And as we expand our reach, Jennifer, in that video clip, that was a speech or a talk or a chat with the incoming district governors. Myself was included along with the 520 odd others around the globe, and challenged us. But that doesn't mean we ignore current members. As we create new channels into Rotary, and last year, even during COVID, the number of new channels, new opportunities, different ways of doing Rotary was amazing. But build awareness. A number of Rotarians that don't really know what Rotary do worldwide or Rotary does worldwide and what our brand really means. And when you travel in some of these overseas countries, you really understand it, where I have been. But increase our openness and appeal. And a question, if you were to join Rotary today, would you join your club? And if the answer is yes, that's fabulous. And if it's not, what are you going to do about it? And increasing our ability to adapt. I want to come back onto the willingness to take risks and innovation. But let's not let governance get in the way, as long as it's not illegal, not immoral, and complies with our guidelines. Let's make things easy. And to do that, the district, and I've asked our team to look at 3 key priorities of membership, public image, and foundation. And everything else that we do, whether it's international or youth or community or other things that we support, if we don't have these right, then we aren't able to achieve anything else. Public image. If we don't have the right public image, we don't get members. And if we don't have members, we can't have the right public image. And if we don't support foundation, then all the good work and all the good support we get for our projects won't work. And we talked of new clubs, but I've asked that we look at 3 different aspects of membership. There's growing members in the existing clubs and making sure the clubs are suitable for new members. And I say suitable, that's a strange word. Suitable in as much as, would they want to join? And some people ask me, so what should Rotary look like and feel like? And my view is, don't ask a Rotarian, but ask a potential Rotarian, and then ensuring our clubs look like and feel like something they would join. And public image, do we really portray and share what Rotary really is? Are all the photographs on Facebook something that would attract somebody to join? And I've asked our public image team next year that everything we do should be a minimum of 85% external facing. Perhaps a suggestion is that clubs have 2 Facebooks, one for internal and one for external facing. And then foundation, there is a general understanding that each club should give the equivalent of $100 per member to foundation. But we're asking our foundation team, some people may want to donate more and are able to donate more or find a different way of giving to foundation. Something perhaps that's more tax efficient with gift aid than doing it through a club. So we've asked them to share that as well. So lots of different things to look at, but everything relies in these priorities and helps us celebrate the past, but build ourselves for the future going forward. If we get this right, everything else will work and support us. I've put this one on young people and young thinkers. What do I mean by that? Well, have you met a 25-year-old who is old? Well, we all have. But have you met an 86-year-old who is young? And of course we have. So I talk about young thinkers. It's something that resonates with me. And embracing the fact that we are people of action, we do things. And that is what I think of in the terms of young thinkers. We're the people who make things happen in our world and our community. And such a brilliant opportunity to capture cross-mentorship, or as I would call it. Sometimes a great idea comes through the lens of experience. And sometimes it comes from someone who hasn't already been told that they can't do something, or that it needs to be done this certain way. When we look at younger participants in our organization, they give me hope that we can look at things through fresh eyes, that we can constantly be in a state of evolution. We can use the experience of the past, and we can build the future with some of our young people. In supporting clubs, which is nothing else in our district, drive, our assistant governors are our key to working and supporting and linking you with the district to help you. And so their main areas of responsibility are to come along to the club assemblies or functions and meetings, listen to your plans. And if there's concern or you want support or there's some problems needing solved, they know where to go to link with the other service teams, whether it's youth, membership, international, foundation. You can do that. They are the key links for that. And if people need some support, guidance onto the Learning Centre, onto Rotary, onto my Rotary, they can do that as well. And as part of that, not only attending assemblies, but they'll come along and visit to the clubs that are allocated to them. And I'm delighted with the assistant governors we have. There's still a couple we need, one for the Perth area and one for Forfar up to Portlethen on the A90. And if somebody's on here today and said, you know, I've never been asked, well, just drop me a note. We can change that. We'll soon sort that. Or if you think somebody that's hiding their light under a bushel and would really be an expert, then drop us a note. And there are one or two positions underneath all the team leaders. And if you think you're capable and willing to do that and donate your time, and it's not a huge amount of time, then give them that support and let us know. So supporting clubs, assistant governors will come to your assembly and they will plan visits, listen to your concerns, and they'll support inter-club working and anything else that you think is necessary. And the area presidents meetings, beyond visiting your club, they'll pull together the area presidents. But it's about what the presidents want to discuss and share. and work with each other, and they'll support that structured discussion. Of course, there'll be some key Rotary messages, but the big thing there is nothing else but there to support the clubs and the support that's needed from the district support team. They're there to help you, they're there to support you, and I think we'll have a great team to do that for next year. Regular contact. And you can contact them. They are the club's first point of contact and support, and can get that for you. And part of that, when they're speaking at your district, your club assembly, they'll be looking at the characteristics of strong clubs. And what are they? What do you think they might be? Well, here's 5. Do you have consistent membership growth? By adding members and retaining. Retaining is quite interesting. We talked of in membership about attracting new members, but one of the key things is retaining the members that we do have, and then starting new clubs as well. And the sad fact is, we lose half of our new members within 3 years, on average, a horrible generality. And why is that? Is it because, what's in the tin is not what's on the tin? Our clubs do they reflect the needs of new and prospective members? And I talked about what should Rotary look like and feel like. And of course, if we're not having fun, not getting value, it's pretty easy. And focus on engaging members. Are your new members stuck away in a corner? And I mean just in the virtual corner, or are they visibly engaged in some of the club's activities? Are they given something important to do? Do you understand what they want to do? Have you asked them what they want to do? And do we mentor them and orient them into Rotary? And I don't just mean Rotary in the club, but Rotary worldwide and what Rotary does. So there's five of the items. What about this 5? Do you use the data management system? Do you use Rotary Club Central? Use Rotary Club Central and celebrate what your club does and get recognition with a presidential citation. I reckon a presidential citation is the easiest thing in the world to get. There's 25 elements. All you need to do is 13. I believe every club in our district who do so much great work should be recognized. And that members just sign up to my Rotary, because inside my Rotary, there is a huge amount for people to know and develop the knowledge of what we do. Are your members involved in everything? In my own club, we have members who don't make every meeting. But if when it comes to Santa's sleigh, or taking shelter box out, or supporting the fireworks, they're there at the front. They're the right people we want as Rotarians. And do we have a strong leadership plan, a succession plan going forward? And if you add up what your points could be, where would your club be in this? Would you be in the 75+ points range out of 100? I've not done the arithmetic, but I believe there's 100 points on there. Easy. That analysis is available for you. That survey is available for you from your assistant governor. And it's not Dad's army, we're all doomed. We're not having that. We imagine what's possible in the future. And we celebrate the past, celebrate our successes, but build the future for what we want Rotary to be as we imagine what's possible. And Paul Harris said, Rotary will always be in a state of evolution, and it's our job to help that. To help some of yours, here are the dates for the various breakout themes: public images tomorrow evening, youths on Wednesday, and so on. The foundation one, unfortunately, is being rescheduled, but we'll get that dates back out to you. And District Secretary Kath sent these dates and the links for all of these out to all the clubs just on Friday. So thank you for that, Kath. And thanks to all the teams for putting together exactly what's in there. The international and community one will look at just doing projects, what's involved in putting together a project. Join them and hear more about that. All of them will be worthwhile. And then dates for next year. The ones in blue are the ones particularly for clubs. The district conference, and we'll hear more about that later on, is just the 18th of June. We have separated the district handover from conference, and that's now the 2nd of July and will be in Forres. And thanks to Forres Rotary for agreeing to that. Not only will it be the district handover, but Forres will also be celebrating their 70th birthday. District Council twice a year, September and March. And then as you get your presidents-elect sorted out for the 23-24 season, their preparations that first weekend in March. District Assembly next year, this time next year, just 365 days hence. And Melbourne Convention. Anybody fancy going and listening and hearing and seeing worldwide with 30 to 40,000 other Rotarians what Rotary is really about worldwide? Go to Melbourne and enjoy that. There's some dates for the coming year. And the support available for you and for each club is enormous. I talked of my Rotary. The brand centre is there and is excellent on guiding people on how we use our logos. The learning centre, I couldn't believe the expertise that's in there. Everything you want to know, there is a short, sometimes 15 minutes. I've never done anything more than 30 minutes on the learning centre. If you want to know about the compliance, the policies, health checks, that's all on there. I don't want to think about the second last one on there because we're not going to have disputes, are we? And then in terms of people that are available, there's a huge amount available. And I'll repeat, all we're here for is to support clubs. Number one, and Kath loves this, District Secretary Kath, just read the instructions. They are available and they are to support you. When we imagine what's possible, no challenge is too big for us. On any of the 7 areas of focus of Rotary, each one of them on their own provides so much value. Personally, I believe in the basic education and literacy. I've lived in Africa and seen that kids sometimes get 3 years education. And if you're a girl, you don't get that, even that. Imagine what's possible. No challenge is too big. Imagine, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And if I think of what's happening in Ukraine, I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Rotary can do this, and Rotary will. And we'll come back to the questions. I'm going to stop share. I'm going to do that. We'll take questions and answers after. And with that, we talked of Rotaract. I'm going to invite a past Rotaractor, to share with us. I'm going to embarrass myself here. Ola Oluwa Olugbodi, I hope I got that right, Ola, is originally from Nigeria, but now resides in the UK. He's a past president of the Rotaract Club of Adekunle Ajasin University in Nigeria. He currently serves the E-Club of Southwest USA as a president, and he's also president-elect. And he transferred his membership from Rotaract into Rotary 7 years ago at the age of 28. I've got a feeling about how much the E-Club of Southwest USA believes in Ola. I realised a few years back when one of their members, John Winterstein, flew to Aberdeen, came along to Port Lethen Rotary meeting and recognised Ola as a Paul Harris Fellow while he was in his 20s. And to enhance matters, John presented Ola with John's original Paul Harris Fellow. Ola, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ken. And thanks for this wonderful opportunity given to me. Good morning to everyone. Ken, please, can you allow me to share my screen, please?
It's sharing's on.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Now, thank you once again. Without wasting much of our time, the assignment given to me this morning is to share with all of you the relationship between Rotarians and Rotary. And for us, I have some few slides to show you all, and also talk about my own personal experience. Because I believe when we are talking about Rotarians and Rotary relationships, we also need to hear from those that really experience it, not only in abstracts. So, yeah, like we all know, to save our time, I might not be able to go in details with some of my slides. But basically, for Rotary, we know what Rotary is all about. And because there was a gap between Rotary and Interant, so there is a need for us, for Rotary, to close that gap. And in the year 1962, Rotarians was conceived, and that was how Rotarians started. It started with Rotary Club of North Carolina. That was the first Rotary club at the university base. And for Rotarians, we have institutional based and community based. For the age of Rotarians, the Council on Legislations 2019 clearly defined the age of Rotarians. Prior to 2019, for you to be a Rotaractor, you must be from the age of 18 to 30 only. But at the Council on Legislation, they changed the age. So now it is between the ages of 18 and above. And the essence is to create positive changes in their local community and the world. Now, what does Rotary do for Rotary? Our president, RI President-elect, Jennifer Jones, encourage Rotarians and Rotaractors to work together, because we are partner in service. And as Rotary has been, and that is still what Rotary is all about, that is Rotary in action and the future of Rotary. So this morning, these are the two key words that I want us to focus our attentions. Rotary in actions and the future of Rotary. Because we are talking about Rotary memberships. And for us to grow Rotary and to sustain its memberships, Rotarians also have a key role to play. Rotarians helps in propagating the image of Rotary by selling itself and Rotary to the world. In this aspect, while Rotarians selling themselves, they are also promoting Rotary, and this also gives opportunity to those that are not Rotarians, those that are not Rotaractors, to know the activities of Rotary. Also, Rotarians activities help in membership drive for Rotary. Rotarians assist Rotary in carry out some of its activities. Yeah, so there are some of Rotary activities that Rotarians are also doing. So these are some of the things that Rotarians does for Rotary, including the membership drives for Rotary. By the issue of the public image, because most of the Rotaractors, they are tech savvy, they know more about social media, how to promote Rotary image. So by doing this, showcasing what Rotary is all about helps us building Rotary and building the bridges of what Rotary is all about. So now, because we all know that Rotarians, although Rotarians is Rotary in action, but personally, I still believe there should be a separation between Rotary and Rotarians. And I have some thoughts about that. Rotarians is for youth who are willing to serve humanity, but not financially stable. Because of the ages of Rotaractors, they have the time, they have the talent, but not all Rotaract members have the treasures. And in our Rotary, we believe that at least you must have one. We have 3 T's in a Rotary: your time, your talent, and your treasures. Rotaract have time to serve the community. They also have their talent to serve the community, but not all have the treasures to serve community. So these are why it is good to separate Rotaract, so as for them to continue making a positive impact. It is more of a preparatory ground for future Rotarians. So thus it's good to keep it separately. And for me, to transfer my membership from Rotary to Rotary, Rotary gave me that platform. Rotary prepared me for who I am now, because during my time as a Rotaract, I learned a lot about Rotary, what Rotary is all about, how to give back to my community without counting the costs, how to be a positive changer. These are some of the skills, some of the experience that I gained while serving at Rotaract level. Another is the independence. And one of the main reasons for having young arm of Rotary, because Rotarians they also need to be independent for them to have the confidence and they can make their own decisions. They can make a positive impact in our communities. And being independent helps them to the level of maturity, that is of young Rotary generations, as they can always have other generations at the back end as mentors, supervisors, and opinion givers. So having separate Rotaract from Rotary, I believe this will help them because they know that they have Rotarians as their mentors and they are ready to guide them if there are things being Rotaract, if there are things that they needed to do. The next is how to work with Rotaractors. Get them involved in activities as partners and not to think of them as little ones. So I know most Rotary clubs are doing this, that they work in hand with Rotaract clubs as partners in service. And the best way in which Rotarian can work with Rotaract is to see them as partners in service and as key members of the family of Rotary. Rotaract, we should see it as a key member of family of Rotary. Also, sponsoring club, that is the Rotary club, should create avenue, point of friendships between Rotarians and Rotaractors. Rotary club should continue to work with Rotaractors meetings, events, and on service projects. It is so important that we need to create a friendship avenue to build friendship, relationship with Rotaractors. By doing this, this will help them to know what Rotary is all about and to work together to make a difference. Yeah. What Rotary clubs needs to do to ensure Rotaractor becomes member. And I know you all will agree with me that even at your respective clubs, districts, Rotary, and most especially in the United Kingdom, USA, Australia, New Zealand, Norway, Canada, and some countries, the average age of Rotarians in each club is about between 65 to 70. Some 75, that is the average age. And I want us to think about it. If a club, their average age is 70, what is going to happen in the next 20 years? So this should be a challenge to all of us. In the next 20 years, if our club is, the average age is 70, is the club sustainable? How do we get younger members? How do we recruit new members? Yes, it is good for us to think about membership retentions, but we should not forget membership extensions. Getting new members to Rotary is always difficult, but we have a platform already, and that is Rotarians. I believe Rotarians should be the best means of graduating to Rotary. For Rotary clubs to make sure that Rotary clubs, some Rotaractors join the Rotaries, the first thing that we need to do is to empower them. We need to empower Rotaractor with something that will earn them some finance, and for them to also sustain their membership as Rotarians. I think it is high time that we see Rotary as our personal business. The passion, the drive, and commitment we have for our personal business should also be introduced to Rotary. As a CEO of a company, to achieve your desired results, you must empower your staff. And I encourage Rotary as well to do the similar things. Let us empower our Rotaractors because they are the future of Rotary. The future of Rotary lies in Rotaract hands. Mentorships. Mentors should assign to Rotaractors and ready to join for mentorship and direction. So for the mentorships, each Rotary clubs that have a sponsoring Rotaract club, if possible, let's assign a Rotarian to a Rotaract mentorship. So in other words, from your club, look for a Rotaractor that you can mentor. Why doing this? This will give them the opportunity to be able to think outside Rotaracts, that after Rotaracts, then I want to continue as a Rotarian. And some might also come up with the idea that even at their early age, they see the need to join Rotary because they have been mentored very well. The next is the scholarships. And those willing and ready, but may be afraid of the financial involvement. We know that in Rotary, the treasures, earlier on, I explained to us the 3 T's in Rotary: our time, talent, and treasures. And for the treasures, this is where the scholarships come about. This aspect, I will share a little bit about my own story, how I became a Rotarian 7 years ago. 7 years ago, prior to that, I served as the Rotaract president of my undergrad back in Nigeria. So after university community-based, I transferred my membership to community. So while serving as a Rotaractor, I thought of there is no how I could continue in the Rotary family due to the financial constraints. I can't avoid to be a Rotarian because there is no, I can't meet up with the financial commitment. Even though I have my time, I have my talent, but the treasure is not there. So I approached a Rotarian through Facebook, and he suggested that, oh, that why don't you join our e-club? Because being a young Rotaractor, I prefer to be a member where my commitment and impact will be felt. So I thought of, oh yeah, yes, I can transfer my membership to the Rotary e-club of the Southwest, but financially, I can't survive because there is no how I could pay my due. So after our discussions, he contacted the club and the board set up a scholarship board. So basically, the way the scholarship board works is that if there is any member that cannot meet up with the financial responsibility, the club will be responsible. So because of me, the club reviewed their bylaw, and it was incorporated in club bylaws that if there is anyone that wants to join Rotary e-club of the Southwest USA, but cannot meet up with the financial demands, that the club will waive the deal. So this is how I joined Rotary e-club of the Southwest back in Nigeria. And because it's an e-club, we meet virtually online. Having said that, I moved to the United Kingdom. And when I moved in after my master's degree at Robert Gordon University, I got a job. So now I'm financially stable to able to meet up with the club responsibility in terms of the finance. So I messaged the club that I appreciated the club for this past years paying my membership due, that now I'm now ready to take up the responsibility.
Ola, have you got much more? We're kind of struggling for time.
No, just a little bit. Just have a few minutes, please. You know, so for this scholarship, in other sense, so please look into any Rotaract clubs that you see any Rotaractor that you believe that they deserve to be Rotarian. Set up a scholarship board and make them Rotarians if they cannot afford the membership due. We also need to introduce more youthful programs in Rotary clubs. Introduce fun activities. And this is the conclusions. In conclusions, Rotarians cannot exist without Rotary. And as Rotary is the founder of Rotarians, and always have to look out for Rotarians for its growth and existence. So Rotarians also has to be willing and ready to take up mentorships and guidance. Thus, Rotary and Rotaract members work side by side to take actions. Thank you very much. And I will wait for question and answer.
Thanks, Ola. If you stop sharing there, excellent. Ola, thank you very much for that and for taking the time. Rotaract in this district, we have 5 clubs at the moment, and we need to grow more and have more options. And the sad fact is that only less than 10% of Rotaractors actually become Rotarians. So we need to grow that, and that's one of the aims I want coming forward. I'm now going to call on Brian Stewart. Brian, your imagination for Rotary going forward.
Hi, Ken. Good morning, everyone. Rather than my imagination, I'm going to ask you guys to start imagining Rotary. We've had the very high level messages, and I want you to focus on what you might do. So can I ask you to free your minds? You may want to, it's a bit new age, but you might want to close your eyes. One of the things you could do is focus on my virtual background, which you'll be surprised to hear is not actually Broughty Ferry Beach. So what I want you to actually do is to set aside all the day-to-day hassles of the business in your club, all the details, the organisation, any tensions between members, any frustrations. And I want you to, for a few minutes, just to start to think what you could do in your club. So for a start, imagine the community projects your club could do, both local community projects and international ones. What things in your community need to be done? And can you picture your Rotarians leading in those projects, getting things done, creating new projects, supporting your community, and of course, supporting the environment in your area and around the world? Think about those. What could be possible for you? And imagine the fundraising events your club could hold, both events directly to support other people's projects and for your own club funds. Think of the deserving people you could support in your area. Don't think about what you actually do, but spend a minute thinking what you could do, what could be possible. And all of those things rolling together, imagine now how you would attract members to this new world of your Rotary that is achieving so much. And then imagine how with this enhanced membership, you could do so much more, and what a difference you could make to your local world, and of course, adding it all up to the world in general. Just imagine all of that. And once you've imagined all of that, just wild blue sky thinking, all the stuff you could do, then start thinking of how you and your club could move from where you are now to where you could be and where you want to be. And what are the things in your club that get in the way of you achieving that dream? So if you think of those things and imagine Rotary, okay, and that is basically what to do. So thank you for listening. Thanks.
Brian, thank you very much for that. Gives us food for thought as to what could be possible just with thinking about it. We're going to take a 10-minute break and we'll be back at 10 past and we'll hear about what could be possible and hear from people who've dreamt what was possible and done something about it. And then some thoughts on what we could get our youngsters to do looking forward. So let's take just 10 minutes. Our next speaker is in a video clip, and I heard her speaking at the International Assembly. Really, she's an inspiration who dreamt, imagined what's possible moving from a traditional African life. And she talks about where she's got to and how she got there. And really, rather than me trying to introduce her, it's much easier if we just share this video clip. It's about a 12-minute video clip. So enjoy this. I just get it on maximum screen.
Do we truly have the right to dream? What drives our hunger to dream? I come from a long line of generations of women who had been denied their right to an education, their right to a dream. Born and bred in a small rural village, in a country that was known as Rhodesia. By the time I was 18, I was a mother to 4 children. And one of the babies died as an infant because I failed to produce enough milk. I was a child myself. I was just following this pathway that generations of women before me had followed. I always think about my great-grandmother when I tell this story of my dreams. I would always think of her born into poverty and born in a relay that she never defined. And I'm going to call that the relay of poverty, but she is carrying this baton, and I'm going to call it the baton of illiteracy. She's running with this baton, my great-grandmother, the baton of illiteracy, the baton of oppression, the baton of poverty, the baton of a colonial system that never respected her, the baton of early marriages. And she's running, she hands over this baton to my grandmother. My grandmother grabs this baton of illiteracy, the baton of early marriage. She runs and she hands over this baton to my mother. My mother grabs this baton of poverty. She runs with this baton in this relay that she never defined, the baton of illiteracy, the baton of having too many babies before she could define her own dreams. And she hands that baton to me. I said, wait a minute. I dropped that baton and I said, this is not my baton. This is not my race. I'm not going to hand over this baton to the next generation. I had a dream. Then my country became independent. The opportunities were wide. And I met a woman who made me believe in my dreams by just looking at me and asked me one question that no one had asked me. Her name was Jolak. She said, what are your dreams? No one had asked me that question. And when I opened my mouth, I said, I want to go to America. I want to have an undergraduate degree. I want to have a master's. I want to have a PhD. I didn't have a high school education. The women around me looked at me. I was silent. Jolak looked at me and said, if you believe in these dreams, they are achievable. I ran to my mother and I wrote down my dreams, my 4 dreams. And I was ready to plant these dreams because I come from a culture where when a child is born, the elders of the village, they would surround that infant and they would take a small piece of cloth from the mother's dress. They would tear it up, they cut the umbilical cord and wrap it around the cloth and bury the umbilical cord, plant it with the belief that when this child grows, wherever they go, whatever happens to them, the umbilical cord will always remind them of their birthplace. So I was ready to go and plant my dreams so I could see them grow and grow. And my dreams will always remind me why I had written those dreams. My mother asked me, Tererai, can you read back your dreams? And there were just 4: to go to America, to earn an undergraduate degree, to earn a master's, to earn a PhD. My mother said, Tererai, I want you to listen to this. Your dreams in this life, they will have greater meaning when they are tied to the greater good. I would end up writing my number 5 dream. When I'm done, I want to come back to my community and improve the lives of women and girls so they don't have to go through what I had gone through. I want to give them education. I want to change the trajectory of their life the way I will do myself. It would take me 8 years to complete my GED. When I buried those dreams, I knew I was on a journey to change my life. I knew I had been inspired to dream big. I had shared my story. It would take me 20 years from the day that I planted those dreams to the day I walked that podium to receive my PhD. 20 years of never giving up, 20 years of struggling, but I knew I had a dream to change the trajectory of my life and those of my community. And once I had my PhD and I began to think of my mother's words, your dreams will have greater meaning when they are tied to the greater good. I had no idea how I was going to fulfill that fifth dream. But I knew I would only find joy and happiness by giving back to others. When we dream for the greater good. I started designing my own t-shirts and I said, I'm going to sell these t-shirts and I'm going to sell millions and go back and build schools and change the lives of women and girls in my community. I only sold 20 t-shirts and mostly to my friends. I was devastated. Then one day I got a phone call, the most memorable call of my life, the call from Oprah Winfrey. And she donated $1.5 million towards that 50 dream. And I knew my mother was right. My mother realized that even though I had been passed down these wounds, this baton, this ugly baton, the illiteracy, but in the passing down of that, there is also the passing down of wisdom. My mother knew sometimes it's not only about our education. Sometimes it's not only about our personal goals. It's not only about our financial goals. Sometimes it has to be about how we connect our personal goals and how we connect our education to the greater good. And now, in partnership with Oprah Winfrey, through my foundation, today I have managed to rebuild 11 schools going on to 12 schools. We have educated more than 40,000 kids that have gone through our education system. 19,000 of those students are girls, and they are sitting in large numbers. We have over 30 students who are now attending university. I come from a community where for more than 60 years, as far as I can remember, nobody had gone to university. Now we have these girls going to university. They are never going to be handed this ugly baton, the baton of early marriage, the baton of illiteracy. Never. We even have one student who is attending a university in Algeria doing medicine. And in that process of rebuilding our schools, Rotary Club Salinas of Salinas, and thank goodness to Rotary International, they gave us a grant. And now we have a school that is feeding 1,900 kids with breakfast and lunch. And thank goodness to that partnership. They recognized our hunger. And I always talk about two hungers, and I think Rotary International, you have one hunger, the hunger to do good in the world. While writing down my dreams gave me strength to right the wrongs of my past, the wisdom to bury and plant these dreams was a reminder of the power of the earth and its connection to my umbilical cord, and of the power of my spiritual connection to something bigger than I am. And let me leave you with one saying: I am because we are. Since we are, therefore I am. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I stand on the shoulders of Rotary International. I cannot take granted for the things that have happened in my life, because I know Rotarians around the world, you have rallied behind our dreams. The Native Americans, they have said something that have always stuck with me. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to this web, we do it to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things are connected. Our very survival is connected to the survival of others. Let's dream, and we can do it. Thank you.
Wow, what a thought. 18-year-old, married, 4 kids, and then put together our 5 dreams and showed us what's possible with a little imagination. In our next portion of this morning, I want to discover some thoughts on what our future leaders want the world to be. And one of our own Rotarians in this district thinks big. Does she think bigger than Tererai Trent? She certainly thinks differently. And Sarah Ann Munoz, our next speaker, is originally from Perth and spent her high school years in Kirriemuir in Angus. Studied geography at the University of Dundee before moving north to take up a research position at the University of the Highlands and Islands. She's worked there since 2007, and last year was awarded a professorship in rural health from UHI. She lives in Elgin, a husband, 7-year-old daughter. She's a member of Rotary Club of Inverness and was inspired to join Rotary after staying with Rotarians during a visit fellowship at Texas A&M University in Kingsville and being welcomed as a guest at their club. She believes the community engagement methods that she has developed as a social scientist can be more widely applied to support socially impactful activities within Rotary. Sarah Ann, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate the chance to present today to Rotarians within the district. So I'm just going to share my slides. Hopefully you can see that okay. I think that, as Ken said, what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about some of the methods that we've used primarily within research around community engagement. And I think that this follows on from a lot of the themes that we've heard about from the different speakers this morning. And in particular, I wanted to talk about something that we call social dreaming, and how this might actually help us as Rotarians to engage with the aspirations, the hopes and the dreams of the young people that live within our district. So I'll take you through this just now. So when I talk about this, sorry.
We're seeing your words more than your.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Have I not shared it properly? Let me have a look.
There we go. That's fine. We can see the slides now.
You can see the slides. I need to look at my notes as well. I may just say if I've not shared it. I shared my screen rather than the.
You shared your screen, I think,
Yeah.
instead of the presentation.
So if I do this, that's probably better. Does that look right now?
It's still showing your screen
All the same.
rather than the presentation, Sarah Ann.
Let me do it again because I'd like you to be able to see the presentation properly. So if I go to share.
You just want to share the box that's only got your presentation in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Is that
it.
any better? Great. Still looks okay.
Yes.
Great. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm going to just outline what social dreaming is. So people ask me, what is this concept that we use, which is social dreaming? So originally it started where people worked with the actual dreams that they have when they're asleep. And it's a way of working with dreams where we focus on the content of the dream, but not the person who's the dreamer. And people come together to share these dreams for that sole purpose. But when we look at the meaning of the dream, it's about the broader world or society in which we live. So in the way in which social dreaming started, in its purest sense, it was this discussion of dreams that we have while we're asleep. But thinking about pulling out what are the themes and the threads that are woven or shared between different people's dreams, and what can that tell us about our world and the society that we live within. But as Ken mentioned, I'm a social scientist, so one of the things I'm really interested in doing is seeing whether we can apply this approach to the dreams or the hopes that we imagine while we're awake. So thinking about the dreams that we have in terms of our aspirations, our waking dreams, and the ways that we imagine our future might be shared. So as a researcher, I'm interested in seeing kind of what are the underlying themes that we shared within the hopes and the dreams that we have. So really, this is a method of encouraging people to think about primarily the places in which they live, is the way in which we've used it. So to imagine how they would like those places to be, or those communities to be in the future. So we we start by asking some questions. For example, what is the place like that you live within? What's your life like within this place? Can you imagine how this might be different within the future? And really importantly, can you tell us the story of how you would like this place to be in the future? So the thing that I would ask you to imagine is, what could we do as Rotarians if we knew what the young people of our district would like their future lives and their communities to be like in 5 years' time, for example, which is a time period that we've worked with because it often seems a period of time in which you can actually achieve some action. So I had to think about what we could do if we captured these dreams. And I think there's lots of benefits. I guess primarily we could harness these shared social dreams to do good. As Rotarians, we could use this information to try and focus some of our projects and activities, our fundraising efforts on the things that really matter to young people within our district. And we could work with those young people to help them realise their dreams. So I think there are lots of additional benefits to that. So in doing so, we could have the potential to inspire future Rotarians and also to generate wider publicity and awareness for the district. In connecting with young people, we could also raise awareness of Rotary with their parents and families who may also be potential Rotarians. And as I said, there's a real potential, I think, to generate wider publicity for Rotary within the district, particularly if we take advantage of, for example, social media, which I'll mention a bit later on as well. So, as a researcher, I've helped to collate social dreams in different ways. Postcards has been particularly effective. So we've used physical paper postcards that people complete and send back to us, or we've also used digital versions that people can send back by email, for example. And we've used that with different generations. Here's some young people posting their dreams of one of the post boxes that we made, and some of the older people in the community completing their postcards as well. So just wanted to mention what I think is quite a nice example of a postcard dreaming project that we did with the Western Isles Library Service. And this was over the course of the pandemic. And our postcards featured some illustrations that were done especially for us by a local artist, captured some of the kind of local landscape and nature. So this was the front page of the postcard. And each of them contained a little bit about our research to help people think about prompts, how to complete them. And then, yeah, there was a set of postcards, so it took you through the story of what we wanted you to do. And then there were blank postcards, again, designed nicely with some illustration for people to complete with their dreams and to send those back in. And that was all done via the library service. So people sent back these dreams in response to their prompts. And in addition, you can do this through a social media response or an email. It doesn't have to be a physical postcard. So my suggestion for Rotary was to potentially collect young people's dreams through a digital postcard mechanism. And we could have something like an associated social media hashtag, something like My Rotary Dream. We could collect young people's dreams, look at their words, look at the themes that emerge. And I think these themes can then allow us to support social action within the areas identified by young people themselves. And this was just an example of how you can fairly quickly produce a content analysis, so look at the words that they've used, create a word cloud to show some of the things that were important to the young people in the Western Isles postcards. So I wanted to mention just some of the outcomes from previous social dreaming work. So it's been really effective as well, I think, to connect generations as well as identify priorities. We've seen it can help us understand how young people and older people view their home area. And that's led to the creation of some intergenerational activities. And fundraising and activities to support young people's priorities, such as particular sports or outdoor activities. And we've also presented what's come out of the social dreaming to policymakers, to the local authority, National Health Service, and to charities. And we've used this as evidence to support some service delivery decisions. So it can really inform actual practical action. And before the pandemic, we were asked to take an exhibition down to the Scottish Parliament and to promote some of these ideas to the elected members there as well. So it was well received as a way of potentially engaging communities. So I think that if we were to do something like this as Rotary, the kind of themes could be extracted from the dreams that were submitted, and we could use that as feedback to local clubs to help us then shape local action. So I just drew together some of the other ways that we could look at social dreams and capture where they're coming from. I think that one potential is to have a website, and you can then collate, for example, through putting points on the map where the dreams are coming in from. And this, for example, can encourage people to contribute by saying kind of the more dots that appear, you can see that we're building up this map of dreams. And also, I like the idea of collating the dreams and actually displaying them through a dream tree, which is something else that we've done in the past too. So trees, for me, I think they have these lovely connotations of being gathering spaces, places where people often will take time to reflect or gather to engage in storytelling. And I think that, again, this is quite a nice concept to allow people to engage that by saying, kind of sending in a dream, that young people are then contributing to shaping the wishes, the hopes, the kind of stories that we capture that could then form part of a district tree of dreams or of hope. So this is just some of the reactions that we've gathered from the people that we've presented the social dreaming outcomes to, which I thought kind of highlighted its impact. So people have noted how it simultaneously creates evidence whilst also being a method of community engagement. Mentioned that it can inform service development and social action. It allows us to individually but also collectively communicate what our everyday circumstances are. And the observation that by creating stories, it also creates community and belonging. It allows us to interrogate what's working within communities, but also what needs changed and what we might be able to help change. And we find that investing in communities' ability to make and tell stories together is actually that investment and then kind of subsequent positive social change. So I think we could do a project that looks at postcards for the district. This would be my proposition, to collect young people's dreams through a digital method with an associated hashtag. I think we could do this with some engagement through schools to collate the dreams, the words and the themes, and potentially have an associated website to show where the dreams are being sent in from, with feedback to the local Rotary clubs to help then support local social action. I think it'd be nice then to have the potential for a district tree of dreams where we could display these, and people could come along and look at the themes that have emerged. So we'd need to think about things obviously like the practicalities of the design, the digital interface, funding opportunities and the involvement of the clubs. But I think there's the potential to do a social dreaming exercise over about the course of 12 months or so. So I'd be really happy to have anybody get in touch that was willing to help kind of make this a reality for the district. Particularly, I think if we engage with schools and we have that associated web presence, social media presence, there's the potential to start doing this, I think, before or at the start of the next school year, and to collate the dreams and potentially do that feedback and the tree making into 2023. So I'd be very happy for anyone to get in touch who'd like to be interested in taking this forward. And I just was going to end with a few words on why I think this kind of social dreaming is really important, and to highlight the kind of benefit that it can have. And again, this comes from our own reflections on using it before, and we found that using stories and social dreaming, it actually simultaneously creates the solution to the problems that we're seeking to tackle, because the business of making and telling our stories creates community. So working this way lets us talk about and better understand the importance of concepts like doing, belonging, enduring, recovering and caring. So the stories that circulate about particular communities can be powerful resources for change. So I think that's the key way in which we can harness these types of methods to really understand what needs are within the communities. And then to act as Rotarians to respond to those needs. So I'll stop there. Thanks.
Then do you want to stop sharing? Perfect. Lots of good things in the chat there, Sarah Ann. And we need to talk about it as to what can be possible. I'm happy to take any questions on that or any subject that we've had this morning. A very practical and, what's it say, an important idea can be done. Imagine what can be possible as we take this forward or as people get engaged. And it kind of ties in a lot with my ideas earlier of young people and young thinkers in lots of ways. So how could we work with that and achieve something for all our young people in their future? So questions, and really it's an open thing. Use reactions. Raise your hand if you want a question. And Ron McHale's in first. Ron.
Hi there. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. This a question to Sarah, and I thought that was brilliant. When you presented to the Scottish Parliament, what was their response?
They were really, I guess there was kind of two responses. One is that they were interested that it was a different kind of evidence or different kind of data, because it's very narrative. It's not kind of statistics that they might be used to, but they were, I think they could really see the value in the stories that people were telling. It was very real. And the second thing is that they were actually impressed with the number of people that got engaged through these methods. So we were talking about, in, for example, primarily rural communities, where a kind of public sector consultation would maybe reach 5 to 10% of the population. And in some places, we were getting 50 to 60% of the population engaged. So I think they were very enthusiastic about the methods. I think what was perhaps more difficult was to then talk about how it might be funded or rolled out. But in principle, I think it was very well received. And primarily because of the power of the stories that came out.
Yes. Okay, no, thank you. I thought it was brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Chair. Thank you.
So who else has a question? What? I don't believe a question on any topic really in there is more than welcome. Ivar.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, Anne, to whom and how did you communicate to broadcast the project and let people understand how, who are the target audience and how did you reach them, basically?
I mean, previously in our previous work, it was just the general population. So we utilised existing networks. So in our Highland-based project, that was primarily the local voluntary sector, charities, people that were already, engaged in community-based work, also schools, health service, and yeah, other service delivery organisations like the libraries or the leisure services. But that was because we were looking at general population.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Who else? Alistair Robertson, you have a question.
Yes, Sarah Ann, can I inquire whether there was a common theme running through the whole of the test area, or did you find that the social dreams varied dramatically depending on the location of the dreamers?
I'd say it was a bit of both. So I'd say there are definitely some things that are very local and very specific that could be, changed through very specific action, like there is no youth group in this area, for example. But there are definitely some things that I think were woven through all of them. And one of them is around connection with nature and landscape, which was very important to people, and being able to access the outdoors. And I guess the other thing, which I would kind of broadly call social connection, and just the need to tackle where there are people who are socially isolated and not connected to communities. And then you get, because we were working again probably with rural communities, you get very practical things like employment and housing and service access that were, kind of across the board as well.
Yeah. So there's no one size fits all?
I would say not, no.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
And Mike Dow from Kilryman.
You're muted, Mike.
Sorry about that. It's another question for Sarah. Thanks for your presentation. Were those providing the information given any guidance to avoid, if you like, very general, very diffuse statements regarding their dreams and aspirations, as opposed to what specifically would help them to achieve, for example, greater personal contentment or happiness or well-being? It's very, I understand it was qualitative research, and very often when you ask people what their dreams are, they're expressed in very diffuse terms. I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think they probably were. I think we asked people to focus on place. So what could happen here was the kind of grounding of it. Actually, in the Highland-based work, we had more than one cycle. So it wasn't necessarily, we took the dreams and found the themes. We would take that first level of analysis back to the community, so that actually they were then part of deciding what the actions are. So once you start to draw out the themes, then you can have another kind of more informed conversation with the community. I think that helped.
So it's like peeling layers off the onion, if you like, and say, yeah, okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So, Sarah Ann, I have a question for you. When you and I talked before, you talked about getting in contact with all the kind of secondary schools. And somebody I was speaking to after said, why would we ignore the primary schools?
And absolutely, and we've done it successfully with primary school age children as well. And sometimes that can be through drawings, which is really nice too. So they don't have to write, text. They can represent it through an illustration. I think the only challenge is scale, really. If we can do it, then yeah, great.
Yeah, and I know you've got big ideas and big thoughts. So it's a matter of controlling it, or maybe a little bit. So excellent. Sarah Ann, thank you very much for doing that. That's been absolutely inspiring as to what's possible. I'm going to ask John Johnson now to cover district conference. Is John still on?
Yes, I'm still on.
I've lost you. Oh, here we go. And you're muted.
I'm not muted now. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep, good. Yeah, the artwork that's behind me is the town art of Glenrothes isn't all concrete mushrooms and hippos. I haven't actually seen the hippos, so I'm assuming they're there somewhere, but I might have a look when I'm down there. It's really important this year that the conference is a face-to-face conference. It's our first chance to get together as Rotarians from across the district for nearly about 3 years, to be honest. And it's just to promote that fellowship, friendship and fun, which is what Rotary is all about. So the Camino is Rotary is more important than ever, and Rotarians across the district have been doing a great heap of work through lockdown and making sure that Rotary is relevant during the COVID and post-COVID. So a lot of our speakers and things that are going to be happening will be based on projects that have happened or are in the pipeline moving forward. We will also have both of our Peace Scholars here in person in Glenrothes, Homera and Fatima, and I have to say thank you to Charlotte Duncan and Bill Ross for making sure that this is going to happen. It's absolutely brilliant, and moving forward I think it's a great chance to meet them in person and speak to them and see how they've been getting on. We have Hope Gordon and she'll be talking about her journey to the Paralympics and how she got on in Beijing, which is also a great thing to do. A panel discussion, as Heather has intimated in the break. She actually let the cat out of the bag with many things that's happening. So there's a lot of things that I don't have to go into. Registration will be open on the 1st of May and it will be on the website and the link will be on there. At the moment, I'm just finalizing the final details on costings because we've had a few changes due to the fact that like everything, prices have gone up. So I'm just doing a little bit of working around to make sure that it is cost effective for both the district and ourselves moving forward. The dinner on the conference itself is during the day on the 18th, and we look forward to having you there. There's also 2 ancillary things that are attached to it that you don't have to go to. On the Friday, there's a wee meet and greet for the House of Friendship and early setup and also a talk from a curator on Jack Vetriano, because it's also the launch of Jack Vetriano's exhibition across Fife, which is great. And on the Saturday night, we have Gordon McAnally as our after dinner speaker. We have the Shand family giving us some entertainment, and we have Akeli just to finish everything off, in particular, mainly because the Elgin Club apparently seem to like celebrating things. So let's get them all here so they can enjoy themselves. But more importantly, you are the important ones. It's your conference. I want to see you there in person. Thank you.
Thanks very much, John. And now I'm just going to take a couple of minutes on the district handover. It's moved to the 2nd of July. It's going to be in Forres, and Forres will also be celebrating their 70th birthday that day. Details will be coming out shortly. We're going to be limited to 80 in the whole thing. So we're really looking forward to that as well, and celebrate after the conference, which we'll celebrate as well. This morning, we've been asked to imagine our future, to see what is possible with the right vision and the right ideas, and to hear from a past Rotaractor on what to do to get them to join Rotary, and we can also develop Rotaract. And a call to get the views of tomorrow's leaders, because they are the future. We talked earlier about young members and young thinkers as we celebrate the past and build the future. We've had a great past, but we also need to build a future for ourselves. You may say, I'm a dreamer, John Lennon said, but I'm not the only one. And as I look at the horror in Ukraine, I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Rotary can and will make a difference. Just imagine. And with that, I'm going to ask our District Governor nominee, Jim Harter, for the vote of thanks. Jim.
Thank you very much, Ken. Yes, it falls upon me to do this great deed. Today's assembly has been about the future of Rotary and going forward, taking the theme, imagine, to create action necessary to achieve our aim of giving service for the benefit of peace and goodwill throughout the world. I'd like to thank all the speakers, and I do that so that I don't foul up their names. And it's been very inspirational in particular instances about imagining is a sort of dream that you have of how you can move forward, how you can make things happen. People of action, that's who we are. And to make those dreams into reality, which is a great thing. We also like to give you the view that the district team looks forward to supporting clubs and individuals in the coming Rotary year. We are there for you. You just need to let us know what you need. Also, I'd like to thank all those who've joined us today in this assembly. It's your time. We appreciate you giving it up, and we hope it's been a benefit to you. It now leaves me only to say thank you to everyone, wherever you are, and safe journey home.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this morning. As we say, safe journey back to your couch, and look forward to seeing you all shortly. Thanks very much indeed.